This video's focus is to solve quadratic equations using quadratic formula. There's a separate video showing derivation of quadratic formula. So the solution of ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0 are x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And this is called quadratic formula. Quadratic formula works to solve a quadratic equation all the times. We know factoring does not work all the times. Factoring only works if my polynomial is factorable, but quadratic formula always helps us solve a quadratic equation. No matter what kind of quadratic equation it is going to be solvable using quadratic formula. So here's our first example. 2x squared plus 3x plus 4 equal to 0. So we're going to start with very first step is it has to be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. And we're going to find out what a is, what b is, what c is. Keep in mind the signs go with them. So if there's a negative sign, that's going to stick around with it. So I have my a, b, and c. I'm going to go ahead and plug every a, b, and c into my quadratic formula and simplify. So b in this case is negative 3 plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. So we have negative 3 plus minus square root of 9 minus 16. 4 times 4 is 16 times 2 is 32 divided by 4. Now, 9 minus 32, we know it is going to be a negative number. It is going to be negative 23. So negative 3 plus minus square root of negative 23 divided by 4. Square root of 23 cannot be simplified anymore, but we can definitely pull the I out from the square root. It's negative 3 plus minus I square root of 23 divided by 4. And that's our solution. Two solutions, one with the positive sign and the other one with the negative sign. Part B of the equation, we have our second example, 2x squared plus 8x equals 7. Step 1 is I want to bring all the terms on one side. Doesn't matter left or right hand side. It does not matter which side we bring them to. And figure out what my A is, what B is, and what C is. Notice C is going to be negative 7 here, so the signs go with the terms. Solutions here would be x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. Okay, so we have negative 8 plus minus square root of 64 minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 64 minus 56 divided by 2 times 2 is 4. Now inside the square root we have 64 minus 56, and that would simplify to 8 as well. So negative 8 plus minus square root of 8 divided by 4. A little bit further simplification possible because 8 can be written as 4 times 2. I can go ahead and pull a square root of 4 out, which is 2, and we'll have square root of 4. Square root of 4 is pulled out as 2, so negative 8 plus minus 2 root 2 divided by 4. At this point, I see there's some common factors between the numerator and denominator, so I'm going to factor 2 out from the numerator, and leaves me with negative 4 plus minus root 2 divided by 4. Cancel the common factors between numerator and denominator, so we have negative 4 plus minus square root of 2 divided by 2. This is our final solution. If we really want, we can write it as two separate fractions, negative 4 over 2 plus root 2 over 2, which would be negative 2 here, and negative 2 minus root 2 over 2. We cannot really cancel the 4 and the 2 because negative 4 in the numerator is a part of a binomial, and we're not really able to take that out from that binomial. Another example, solving using quadratic formula again, we have x squared minus 4x plus 5 equal to 0. So I wrote it in the standard form, bringing all the terms on the left-hand side. Now my goal is to find out what A is, what B is, what C is. A is 1, B is negative 4, C is 5. Let's go ahead and plug them into quadratic formula. We have negative B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A. Okay, so 4 plus minus square root of negative 4 squared is 16. 4 times 5 is 20 divided by 2. Looks like again I'm going to have a negative inside the square root. So 4 plus minus square root of negative 4 over 2, which turns out to be 4 plus minus 2i divided by 2. We can factor out a 2 from the numerator or write them as two separate fractions. So 2 plus minus I is going to be my two solutions here. 2 plus I and 2 minus I are my two solutions. Y squared minus 11y equal to 0. We could do it much easier using factoring technique, but in this video I'm focused on quadratic formula. So if I compare it to ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, x squared has a number a next to it, x has a number b next to it, c is the constant, c has no variable next to it. In this case, a is 1, b is negative 11, and c is 0. Let me try quadratic formula. X, in this case, it's not going to be x equal to, solutions would be y equal to. Solutions of a quadratic equation are also called intercepts, x-intercepts, or they're called the zeros or roots as well. So y equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So we have 11 plus minus square root of negative 11 squared is positive 121 minus 0 divided by 2. 11 plus minus square root of 121 is 11 divided by 2. So we can write two solutions here. We can go ahead and do 11 plus 11 divided by 2, 11 minus 11 divided by 2. 11 plus 11 is going to be 22 divided by 2, which is equal to 11. So my one solution is 11, and the second solution is going to be 11 minus 11, which is 0 divided by 2 is 0. Those are two solutions. Part F, 3x squared equals negative 5x minus 1. So let's go ahead and solve it. Step number 1 is to put it in the standard form so that I can identify my A, B, and C easily. So x would be negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. So negative 5 plus minus square root of 25 minus 12 divided by 6. So inside the square root, we have 25 minus 12, and that would be square root of 13. Negative 5 square root of 13 divided by 6. So there's our two solutions, one with the negative sign, one with the positive sign. Couple more examples of solving an equation using quadratic formula. Here we have an equation that's not in the standard form. So step number 1 will be to distribute 2x and bring everything to one side, get a 0 on the right hand side. And that's 2x squared plus 6x equals negative 1. 2x squared plus 6x plus 1 equal to 0. A is 2, b is 6, c is 1. X equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared, which is 36, minus 4ac divided by 2 times 2. Negative 6 plus minus square root of 36 minus 8 divided by 4. Now 36 minus 8, we can subtract that and simplify inside the square root. That would be 28 inside the square root. And we can break that 28 into 7 times 4, which means we can pull a 2 out of the square root. So negative 6 plus minus 2 root 7 divided by 4. Let us go ahead and factor a 2 out in the numerator and cancel with the 4 in the denominator. So final solution is negative 3 plus minus 7 divided by negative 3 plus minus root 7 divided by 2. And these are going to be our two solutions in this case. We just use quadratic formula here. Two more examples using quadratic formula, and then we'll move on to the next method. Here we have x squared minus 2x plus 5 equal to 0. So let's go ahead and directly plug a, b, c into the quadratic formula. Here a is 1, b is negative 2, c is 5. So negative b, negative and a negative will make it a positive. B squared minus 4ac divided by 2. 2 plus minus square root of 4 minus 20 divided by 2 plus minus square root of negative 16, which is going to be 4i divided by 2. So 1 plus minus 2i is the solution here, imaginary solution in this case. If we were to graph this quadratic equation, that means we would have no x-intercepts. If we were graphing it, we would have no x-intercepts here. This graph will not be touching the x-axis. It is going to be facing up because the leading coefficient is positive, but there's another video on graphing quadratic equations that I did earlier. Okay, last example. Here we have x plus 3 times x plus 2 equals 6. We cannot say x plus 3 equals 6 or x plus 2 equals 6. That would be not okay because we don't know. If product of two numbers is 6, there's many possibilities. One of them could be 1, the other one could be 6. One of them could be -1, the other one could be -6. One of them could be 2, the other one could be 3. One of them could be 1 over 18, the other one could be 3. So there's many possibilities. We cannot say for sure that one of the factors is equal to 6. If it was 0 on the right hand side, then that's a different story. We could say one of the factors have to be 0. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute FOIL, combine like terms, write it in the standard form. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 equal to 6. Let's bring everything to left hand side. That's all we're left with. And now, since in this video I'm focused on quadratic formula, I will be using quadratic formula, but this equation is much easier done using the factoring method. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. C is 0, so the entire 4ac piece will be 0 divided by 2a. Negative 5 plus minus square root of 25, which is 5 as well, divided by 2. So we have two solutions here. Negative 5 minus 5 over 2, which is negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 5 divided by 2, which is equal to 0. That's all for this video. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit about discriminant.